choose you!
Hi, I'm Professor Silver, and today I'll break down the history of Ash's Bayleef, detailing her transformation from a stubborn Chikorita into the only girl that's ever captured Ash's heart. This video is brought to you by Aura. Have you ever had your personal info exposed online without your consent? Well, I recently discovered that some of my private details, like my name and address, were listed on sites without my consent. To make matters worse, I also had my Best Buy account get hacked. Trying to cancel the unauthorized orders was a bit of a nightmare, and if that wasn't enough, I'm also bombarded daily with spam calls. They create a never-ending cycle of disruption and annoyance. Honestly, it's left me wondering how much of my personal information is out there for anyone to exploit. Experiences like these are why I love our sponsor Aura. Aura is an all-in-one solution that helps protect your identity, secure your online presence, and keep your personal information private. They actively search for your data on the web and submit opt-out requests on your behalf. This reduces the chance of info falling into the wrong hands. I value my privacy, and I also value yours. That's why I highly recommend giving Aura a try. You can go to aura.com/alexsilver to start your 2-week free trial. The link is also in the description below. Take control of your personal information and enjoy the peace of mind that comes with knowing you're protected. And now on to today's class. Chikorita debuted in the Johto Saga episode, The Chikorita Rescue. Character-wise, she could be described as stubborn, headstrong, and relentless in battle. Due to her being a fierce warrior, Chikorita would often battle until exhaustion. While her disposition was characteristic of the Chikorita that lived in her area, it was entirely unlike the docile Chikorita that new trainers got from Professor Elm. Ash's first encounter with the Chikorita that he would later capture was marked by instant adoration, as he had great experiences with the Chikorita owned by Elm and Casey. Because of his positive experiences with them, he set out to capture Chikorita upon meeting her on his journey to Violet City. Chikorita had a low level compared to Ash's Cantonian Pokemon, but she still showcased remarkable prowess. In almost no time at all, she bested both Bulbasaur and Charizard. Using her tactical genius, Chikorita incapacitated them by exploiting their overconfidence. Bulbasaur nearly beat her with Vine Whip, Razor Leaf, and Tackle, but she won in the end as she deflected Ash's Pokeball, capitalized on Bulbasaur's hubris, and gave him a major bruise with Vine Whip. Charizard seemed destined for victory as well, but his overinflated ego resulted in an unexpected tie. After he stopped Chikorita's initial attack, she tripped him up with Vine Whip, led off Razor Leaf, and intercepted Tackle. By catching Charizard within her vines, Chikorita caused him to fly headfirst into a mountain. The only issue with the way Chikorita incapacitated him was that it also left her exhausted. Chikorita's exploits during the battle not only impressed Ash, but also Team Rocket. As a result, the trio stole her away after Ash got her injuries healed by Nurse Joy. Unfortunately for them, however, Chikorita was having none of their shenanigans. She refused their request for partnership and broke away once Ash arrived. Though Chikorita initially ran away from Ash as well, he refused to let her stay alone in a snowstorm. They couldn't return to a nearby Poké Center because the raging storm prevented their passage. Upon leaving his toasty cave, Ash rescued Chikorita from the cold and snuggled her all night long. Ash's willingness to protect Chikorita no matter the cost led her to fall in love with him. The next day, she returned his kindness and affirmed her loyalty by protecting him from Team Rocket. After Chikorita returned with Ash to the Poké Center, she demanded that he take her along in his adventures. Of course, Ash wholeheartedly agreed. From her capture onward, Chikorita displayed a love for Ash that few Pokemon, even Pikachu, could rival. For all intents and purposes, she adored Ash and showered him with affection whenever possible. As the series progressed, her schoolgirl crush would become her defining character trait. Starting in the episode Once in a Blue Moon, Chikorita would sometimes nuzzle Ash when summoned. An unfortunate side effect of her affection was that she would often get jealous when it appeared Ash was cheating on her with other Pokemon. In that same episode, when she saw a wild Quagsire smother Ash, she became supernaturally aggressive. Her overprotectiveness towards Ash was born out of endearment, but gradually became an issue as the Johto Saga wore on. During the episode A Bout with a Sprout, for example, Chikorita started to express jealousy of Pikachu. She purposely put herself in between him and Ash so as to gain Ash's attention. Unlike the rest of Ash's Pokemon, she seemed totally oblivious to the fact that Pikachu would forever be Ash's favorite. Regardless of how Chikorita felt about Ash's relationship with his other Pokemon, she never once wavered in her desire to win every battle he used her in. During her first post-capture battle, in the episode Ignorance is Blissey, for example, she beat Jessie's Lickitung with Vine Whip and blasted off the trio with Razor Leaf. While the battle can be seen as just another clash with Team Rocket, it's notable as Chikorita's beating of Lickitung further established her potential to usurp Bulbasaur as Ash's greatest grass type. Between Chikorita's win over Lickitung, Genius against Charizard, and Narrative Spotlight, it seemed like the writers were setting her up to be Ash's next great ace. Regrettably though, Chikorita's star began to fade after she struggled against Violet City Gym Leader Faulkner's Hoot. When the two fought each other in the episode Fighting Flyer with Fire, she fell to the Owl's peck and tackle attacks. To make matters worse for Chikorita, her jealousy of Pikachu began to grate on Ash as the saga continued. Initially, her envy of Pikachu didn't seem to bother him. In the episode for Crying Out Loud, for example, Chikorita's saving of Misty and blasting off of Team Rocket appeared to make up for her tackling of Pikachu. Later though, in the episode Grin to Win, her tackling of Pikachu completely flummoxed Ash. Ash started to have serious issues with Chikorita's emotional outburst in the episode Chikorita's Big Upset. His ire stemmed from her refusal to quit against a youngster's Raticate. After Raticate landed Hyper Fang and Quick Attack, Ash attempted to swap Chikorita for Pikachu. He did so because he thought her too exhausted to battle. It deeply offended Chikorita that Ash thought she couldn't win, so rather than return to her Pokeball, she landed Razor Leaf and dodged all of her Pokeball's return beams. Due to Ash's lack of faith in her abilities, she subsequently fell into a deep depression. Chikorita not only refused to eat with her fellow Pokemon, but she also sat away from them and refused Pikachu's offer of Pokefood. Her nasty demeanor initially threw Ash for a loop, but Nurse Joy helped him realize the issue. She explained that the behavioral shift stemmed from a desire for attention, envy towards Pikachu, and lack of trust in Ash's judgment. At her core, Chikorita was like a jilted lover. She felt like a second fiddle because Pikachu got special treatment. Ash tried to soothe things over by letting Chikorita play in the center's greenhouse, but she ignored his apology, rejected Pikachu's friendship, and escaped into the night. After she happened upon a seemingly abandoned warehouse, she was surprised to discover that it housed a bevy of fighting types. Although the fighting types wanted to pummel her for trespassing, Chikorita was too cool, calm, and collected to pay them any mind. It wasn't until their boss, a wild Primeape, challenged her to battle that she finally answered their call. Upon beating Primeape in a one-on-one, she became the gang's boss. Chikorita reveled in her new role, but her thug life didn't last long as Pikachu and Team Rocket tracked her location the next day. It was disappointing that we didn't get to see Chikorita interact more with her gang, but that said, the silver lining of the trio's attack was that it allowed Ash the chance to prove his love. After he rescued Chikorita from Team Rocket's mech, she returned the favor by saving him from a precipitous fall. Once the crisis concluded, Chikorita reconciled with Ash and acknowledged that she could share him with Pikachu. She saw Pikachu as a friend from that point onward, but she still held a huge desire to receive Ash's praise. Sometimes, as shown in the episode Foul Weather Friends, that meant pushing the mouse aside. Likely as a result of Ash and Chikorita's reconciliation, they joined forces against Azalea Gym Leader Bugsy in the episode Getting the Bugs Out. Chikorita performed significantly better than at the Violet Gym, but overall, the battle represented Cyndaquil's ascension into its role as Ash's Johto Gym ace. Opposite Bugsy's Spinorak, Chikorita dodged String Shot, put on the pressure with Vine Whip, blocked Poison Sting, dispersed Sweet Scent, and won out with Tackle. Unfortunately, her elation at winning didn't last long, as she then fell to Bugsy's Metapod. To seize victory, Metapod activated Harden, caught Vine Whip, shrugged off Razor Leaf, and landed Tackle. Following the battle with Bugsy, Chikorita bid farewell to Squirtle in the Firing Squad, and battled Team Rocket in the episodes A Farfetch'd Tale, Tricks of the Trade, and Tunnel Vision. During the latter two episodes, she struggled immensely against Jessie's newly acquired Wobbufett. Chikorita lost outright to the Wabu Warrior in Tricks of the Trade, but held on just long enough in Tunnel Vision for Pikachu to save her from an embarrassing defeat. Losing to Wobbufett didn't help Chikorita's reputation as an ace, but her defending of Misty's Psyduck from Houndour certainly did. In the episode Hour of the Houndour, Chikorita not only fought off a Houndour, but also protected one of the Pokemon from a wild Golem. In addition to trouncing a Golem, Chikorita also pummeled Misty's Staryu in the episode The Totodile Duel. The win held major significance as it helped Ash get ownership of a wild Totodile. Staryu dodged Razor Leaf, used Swift, and let off Water Gun, but Chikorita slammed her way to victory. By helping Ash get Totodile, Chikorita earned herself both a teammate and a friend for life. She, Totodile, and Cyndaquil became great friends in the episode A Hot Water Battle after they all got lost together. Most importantly, during their adventure, they learned about the power of teamwork. Their teamwork would prove useful in Ash's defeat of a Mecha Wobbufett in the episode Power Play. Besides Totodile and Cyndaquil, Chikorita also formed kinship with her predecessor Bulbasaur. Together, the two of them ensnared a Noctowl mech in foul play, saved the gang in Forest Grumps, helped restore Mewtwo's health in Mewtwo Returns, and suffered defeats to Lisa's Pokemon in the movie The Spell of the Unknown. While Bulbasaur lost to Lisa's Butterfree, Chikorita fell to her Girafarig. Despite losing to a Girafarig, Chikorita still held her own against a wild Sudowoodo in typecasting. She also showcased her strength by battling Team Rocket in such episodes as Airtime, Wings and Things, Trouble Brewing, and The Heartbreak of Brock. Suffice to say, because Johto had a lot of filler, Chikorita got more than her share of battles against the trio. Ash also intended for Chikorita to battle a Thug's Hitmonlee in the episode Wabopalooza, but Officer Jenny disrupted the battle before they had a chance to fight. Notably, Chikorita defeated a wild Teddiursa in the episode Unbearable. Teddiursa accused Chikorita and her friends of stealing the gang's food, but Ash trusted in Chikorita and believed her innocent. During the battle itself, Teddiursa opened with Swift, dodged Vine Whip, and did major injury with Slash. Ultimately, though, it fell after Chikorita used Razor Leaf against Double Team and fired off Tackle. With her power noticeably rising as the Johto saga continued, Chikorita seemed poised to surpass Bulbasaur. In fact, in the episode The Grassroot, she defeated a Skiploom that would later beat him. To win the showdown, Chikorita deflected Skiploom's advances, overcame Double Team, batted away Leech Seed, and won with Tackle. While Bulbasaur hogged the spotlight at the tournament that followed, his loss to Skiploom remains one of the worst L's in the entire series. It's worth noting, however, that Bulbasaur's fighting in the tournament highlighted a major issue for Chikorita. Unlike Totodile and Cyndaquil, she had to share the spotlight with her predecessor. Rather than leave early in the saga, Bulbasaur didn't depart from Ash until after he earned his 6th badge. Luckily, Chikorita differentiated herself from Bulbasaur in the episode Current Events. She did so by evolving into Bayleef at Story's End. At the start of the episode, she and Ash got into major hijinks after they accidentally wandered into a power plant. Throughout the chaotic adventure, Chikorita repelled the advances of Magnemite, narrowly survived a Magneton's blast, strengthened her bond with Ash, and defended him from an Electabuzz. Opposite the electric type, she dodged Thunder Punch, launched Razor Leaf, tanked Swift, evaded an electric blast, connected with Vine Whip, and landed Tackle. Although the two Pokemon then launched Thunder Punch and Tackle, Team Rocket disrupted the battle by kidnapping them both. As you can probably imagine, seeing Chikorita get dragged away deeply angered Ash. He did all he could to rescue her, but suffered injury in the process as Team Rocket's Pokemon literally pummeled him. The sight of Ash tanking attacks from Victreebel and Arbok so inspired Chikorita that she evolved into Bayleef to save him. Thanks to the newfound power afforded by the evolution, Bayleef had little issue in freeing herself from Team Rocket's cage, saving Ash, and blasting off the trio with Vine Whip. Bayleef's new form initially delighted Ash and filled him with pride, but it began to grate on him in the very next episode. At the start of turning over a new Bayleef, Ash became incensed with anger as Bayleef kept on knocking him over. She wasn't used to her increased strength, so she caused him harm whenever she tried to physically express her affection. When Ash rebuked her for tackling him, she felt deeply scorned. The situation was made all the worse, as Ash falsely accused her of intending to tackle him when she had already prevented herself from doing so. Rather than take more of Ash's abuse, Bayleef abandoned him to his own devices and ventured out on her own so as not to be a continued burden. Unfortunately, soon after she left him, a Beedrill swarm chased her into a river. She only survived the ordeal because a kindly old woman named Haruno took her to her home for some much-needed love, relaxation, and occupational therapy. Once Ash found Bayleef, he discovered that she no longer trusted in his competence as a trainer. He was only able to regain her trust by sharing in her love of gardening and saving her from Team Rocket's Robo Bayleef. By episode's end, Ash and Bayleef totally repaired their friendship. Ash promised to try harder to understand Bayleef's feelings, while she apologized for tackling him. Amazingly, during her apology, Bayleef revealed that she had taught herself Body Slam. From then on out, Ash and Bayleef were as thick as thieves. So strong was their bond that when Ash swapped Bayleef for Kingler in the episode The Dueling Heroes, she fell into disrepair and made Oak's life a living nightmare. It was only after the Whirl Cup concluded and Bayleef returned to Ash's team in the perfect match that she finally calmed. Much like Bayleef did as a Chikorita, she provided ample utility support. As examples of her help, she battled Team Rocket in episodes like Doing What Comes Naturally, The Screen Actor's Guilt, The Kecleon Capture, and Love Pokemon Style. Due to Johto's expansive arc, she also helped out in many small but notable appearances. To give a sense of what she did, Bayleef helped free a wild Miltank in Got Miltank, tried to save Chinchou in Taking It on the Chinchou, stabilized a plane in Throwing in the Noctowl, retrieved Pikachu in Nerves of Steelix, freed Red Gyarados in Rage of Innocence, broke up a fight between Vileplume and Blossom in Whichever Way the Wind Blows, caught Ash in As Clear as Crystal, cradled Larvitar in Entei at Your Own Risk, and both jettisoned Ash into the air and helped recover his Rising Badge from a Wynot in Why Not. Besides utility support, Bayleef was also a regular fixture in Ash's Johto battles. In Pokemon Forever, for instance, she defeated the Masked Marauder Scizor using Razor Leaf and Vine Whip. Furthermore, in the episode Machoke Man, Bayleef starred as Ash's ace against Cianwood Gym Leader Chuck's fighting types. After Pikachu fell to Chuck's Poliwrath, Bayleef stepped up to the plate and brought home the win. Opposite the Tadpole Pokemon, she landed Razor Leaf, threw it into the ground, and won with Body Slam. Her next foe, Machoke, proved a far tougher opponent. After using Karate Chop, it intercepted Vine Whip, dug in its heels, reeled her inwards, and landed submission. Fortunately for Ash, Bayleef completely turned things around. She did so by countering with Vine Whip, executing a killer backbreaker, pushing forward with Body Slam, and winning Ash the Storm Badge with Razor Leaf. In Bayleef's next major battle, she teamed up with Richie's Pupitar in the episode The Mystery is History to obliterate Butch's Hitmontop and Cassidy's Houndour. Bayleef also intended to beat a wild Tyrogue in the episode A Tyrogue Full of Trouble, but Tyrogue ended the battle early by causing a mini avalanche. Instead of beating Tyrogue, Bayleef tied with Delaney's Poliwrath in Outrageous Fortunes. Perhaps even more impressive than her battling exploits, Bayleef also competed with Ash in a skateboarding race in the episode Extreme Pokemon. During the competition, she proved herself a super speedster by defeating Gary's Arcanine in a foot race. By winning the competition and rescuing a daycare's eggs along the way, Bayleef earned both Phanpy's egg and immense respect as an athlete. Impressively, her win also provided to Ash his first win over Gary. Unfortunately, Bayleef didn't evolve into Meganium during the race, or ever for that matter. It's never explained why she didn't evolve, but Ash claimed in the episode Here's Looking at You Elekid that she was a major leaguer no matter her form. It's a shame Bayleef didn't evolve, as evolution would have all but assured her a place in history as Ash's Johto League ace. Instead, she was relegated to playing second fiddle to Charizard. At the league itself, in the episode Can't Beat the Heat, Bayleef served as one of the two Pokemon who fell to Gary's Blastoise, so that Ash's Charizard could save the day. She evaded Hydro Pump, but Blastoise tanked Razor Leaf, caught Body Slam, and knocked her out. As an aside, the battle between the two was also shown in the series intro. To atone for the loss, Bayleef gave Harrison her all in the episode Playing with Fire in the league quarterfinals. Overcoming a major type disadvantage, she distracted his Houndoom with Headbutt, muzzled it with Vine Whip, slammed it into the ground, and knocked it out with Body Slam. Regrettably, her strength was no match for Blaziken. Blaziken deflected Razor Leaf, intercepted Vine Whip, and triumphed with Fire Punch. As a result, Bayleef left the league with one epic win, but no battles as an ace. Following the league's conclusion, Bayleef went to live with Ash's other Pokemon at Oak's lab so that Ash could start fresh with Pikachu and Hoenn. While he was away, Bayleef appeared several times in the Chronicles spin-off series. As shown by her relaxed appearance in the episodes Journey to the Starting Line and Showdown at the Oak Corral, we can assume she overcame her separation anxiety and learned to live without Ash. Bayleef first reunited with Ash after he returned home from Hoenn in the episode The Right Place at the Right Mime. Although she saved him from his Tauros, she was noticeably absent throughout the entirety of the battle frontier. Bayleef nearly returned to prominence during the Sinnoh League when Oak sent Ash her Pokeball in the episode An Old Family Blend, but she was shafted in favor of Ash's other Pokemon. All we got to see her do at the League was Body Slam Ash, protect Cyndaquil from Team Rocket, and assist in defeating the trio. In Black and White, Bayleef got little more than a cameo in the episode Dream Continues. She didn't appear in X, Y, or Sun and Moon, but came back several times in Journeys. Initially, Bayleef appeared in a flashback in the episode Octo Gridlock at the Gym. Bayleef physically returned in the episode Advice to Go. Later on, she helped train Ash's Journeys team for the Masters 8 in the episode Friends, Rivals, Lend Me Your Spirit. During the Masters 8 itself, Bayleef watched as Ash ravaged champions, appeared in Pikachu's vision during Ash's battle with Leon, and celebrated Ash's victory. It's once Ash became world champion that Bayleef finally rejoined his team as a rotating reserve. Ash officially brought Bayleef back into the fold during the episode Ride Lapras Ride. After expressing her love to Ash, she used Vine Whip to help free a trapped Wailord. In the Rainbow and the Pokemon Master, Ash's final episode appearance to date, Bayleef also returned so as to help him find a lost Charmander. And as that concludes Bayleef's history, let's get to her battle record. Bayleef beat Ash's Bulbasaur, Jesse's Lickitung, a wild Primeape, Bugsy's Spinorak, Jesse's Arbok, James's Weezing, James's Victreebel, Jesse's Wobbufett, Wild Golem, Misty's Staryu, Ephraim's Skiploom, Wild Teddiursa, the Masked Marauder's Scizor, Chuck's Poliwrath, Chuck's Machoke, Butch's Hitmontop, Cassidy's Houndour, and Harrison's Houndoom. She lost to Faulkner's Hoot, Bugsy's Metapod, Jesse's Wobbufett, Lisa's Girafarig, Gary's Blastoise, and Harrison's Blaziken. Bayleef tied with Ash's Charizard and Delaney's Poliwrath. Move-wise, Bayleef used Body Slam, Headbutt, Razor Leaf, Sweet Scent, Tackle, and Vine Whip. Honestly speaking, I can't help but feel sorry for Bayleef. She debuted as a massive powerhouse and distinguished herself as Bulbasaur's equal, but was ultimately never given the chance to shine like a true ace. In a better timeline, the writers would have bolstered her moveset, evolved her into a Meganium, and let her star in a 6-on-6 at the Johto League. Had the original starters not returned for the league, it's likely she would have come out as a star and shown herself as more than a second stringer. While I pity Bayleef for her snubbing at the league, I feel even worse that she couldn't have been someone's first Pokemon. She needs a special someone who will never leave her side. Since that'll never be another trainer, I think that someone should be Ash's Sceptile. Given his interest in her evolutionary line, she could have been the muse that sparked the return of his powers. Additionally, her reciprocation of Sceptile's advances would signify that she had finally gotten over her schoolgirl crush and found a man all her own. In spite of all my gripes, I still really liked Bayleef as a character. She had a ton of personality, an awesome debut, and a unique relationship with Ash that was like nothing we had ever seen before. And with that, class is adjourned. I want to give a big shout out to Aura for sponsoring today's video. Make sure to check them out by clicking the first link in the description. My name's Professor Silver. Until next time, catch you later.